This is a GK Media podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Bytes here on Garry Talks. This week we travel back to episode 10, Know Your Core Values, with the motivational, inspiring and highly infectious Gill Carroll, who is the owner of 56 Central Restaurant in Galway City and also runs a series of mastermind courses. We recorded this episode virtually back in May 2020 at the height of COVID, when there were so many unknowns, but also the reality of C-19 was beginning to kick in, and we were all beginning to realize that this was more of a long-term issue. But I think a lot of what Gill spoke about back then is becoming relevant again today. For instance, she talks about core values. She talks about important leadership decisions that you need to make in business based on your core values. And, if you don't know what they are, you need to take time out and discover them. But she also talks about creating multiple cash flow forecasts based on various outcomes, and also reanalyzing your business model and company culture. And the reason that I think you should be refocusing on such scenarios again 3 years later is because there is a lot of challenges again facing businesses today. We are facing huge costs, especially in energy due to inflation and rising interest rates. We are in a global economic downturn, and there's possible changes happening in Ireland to VAT rates, which will have a ripple effect on businesses throughout, not only in hospitality. Companies are having to invest more into their businesses now to make them more attractive to potential employees, whilst also holding on to the experienced staff that they already have, as there is a huge shortage of skilled workers at the moment in Ireland due to such a low unemployment rate. And at the same time, to meet all these increased costs, these businesses are possibly increasing their own costs on products or services which they provide, which again is further fueling inflation for everyone. And still, with all these additional costs, there is the fear of recession, leading to a fear of consumer spending. And, the big, once untouchable heavyweights like Meta continue to make further job cuts. So it is a scary time. There is a lot of unknowns again. There's also the reality of redundancies, and the costs of such an action are now becoming a scary reality for employers too. And COVID still exists. People are still getting sick and needing to take time off work. Many sectors are affected, not just hospitality and the technology sector. The construction industry is affected as well. They're facing difficulties. Again, they have a skills shortage. The cost of materials have dramatically risen, and the demand for commercial property has been affected by new hybrid or remote working arrangements. There's a lot happening around the world at the moment. And to survive, I believe you need to manage your costs and you need to grow your revenue streams. But you need to know your core values to do this, with a level of compassion that fulfills and encourages growth. So first off, Gill explains what core values essentially are in both business and life.
Your core values are really the things that are your guiding light, and they're going to keep you on track. They're also going to keep you on check for things that don't serve you and things that do serve you. So by aligning with them, your business will be better. You as a human will be better in the ways that you show up in life. And I use them as a checklist. So, when I look at, should I sell 37 West, or, should I close 56 Central? The easiest one was the leadership role. Yes, you should. You should be seen as a leader. Close this business. Right now, it's not safe. If I don't know what my core values are, then it's going to be harder to make good decisions in life. So it's a very simple exercise that we teach, and I really think it helps people guide them again. The most important thing, if you own a business right now, is to get your finances up to date. Pay the money, whatever you have to do. Know where you are as of the day you closed, a profit and loss account, and really drill down and do projections based off a 60% loss, a 70% loss, whatever you think is realistic. Look at your timings, look at your offering. Your menu is going to have to change. The days of the week that you operate might have to change. The social distancing amongst your staff, their health and well-being is going to have to be looked at. And then don't open until you know it's right, because the timing is so important right now. if your business model wasn't working, is this an opportunity to change it without having a lot of expense? But really just be honest with yourself. And it is, like I said, it's not all sexy. It's about finances and making things work. You can't keep borrowing money and getting into debt. And if you're not getting a wage, if you're not having a pension for yourself, if your staff aren't having, a nice environment to work in, then really, like, you have to question what it's all about. It's somebody who is taking very calculated risks and not going to spiral things out of control. The worst thing I would hate to see for anyone is that they reopen without thinking, and then by September they're closed down again. You need to be creative. You need to look at all the different options. Takeaway might suit you. Getting your business online might be something that works for you. Maybe somebody needs a career break, but just really exploring, writing, journaling. What is it that you want? That's going to make the best leadership qualities come out of you.
Thanks again to Gill for joining us on the show. It's a brilliant podcast to listen to, and Gill has been a guest on the show a few times now, as she is by far one of our most popular guests. So if you have time, make sure you listen to podcast 10. It's only about 25 minutes, and in it Gill talks further about how to face difficult decisions in business, the role of a leader in today's world, and why it's important to take calculated risks. As always, you can engage with me directly by following Garry Talks on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can support the show by sharing these podcasts with your friends, colleagues, and siblings. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this week's Business Bytes episode. And I hope you can join me next Wednesday for another in-depth interview. Have a great week.